Fortunate to have Dr. Donna Coleman, veteran. Sorry about that, y'all. We're very fortunate today to have Dr. Donna Coleman, who is a veteran and a chaplain. Dr. Coleman is going to give us some insight into veterans that will help us as we have the opportunity to speak with veterans. So help me welcome Dr. Donna Coleman.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. I tend not to need a microphone, but I'll go ahead and use it anyway. I want to say good morning to everybody here. I heard for the first time when I got here that it's First E. Is that the nickname for the church? First E. Thank you, Reverend Marcia. I just want to thank everybody here in the congregation for being here. It has been a true experience coming this morning, and I want to just be with you for a little while. I want to thank Stell Simpson because she's not here. She's out of the country somewhere. Is that right? Yeah. All right. I want to thank Stell for inviting me. I want to thank Dr. Jean. Dr. Jean, you were something else over there. I wish I could play. I wish I could play. I got to start learning how to do it so I could practice. I want to thank Dr. Jean. She and I had a chance to talk about Italy. I lived in Italy. I was stationed in Italy when I was in the United States Navy. And Dr. Jean, I thank you for just being able to have everybody here having a warm and welcoming spirit for allowing us to be here. I want to recognize my husband, Craig, and my son, Craig, for being here and just allowing me to walk in the gifts that God has given me. I'm coming today from my faith tradition, but my faith tradition, people ask me all the time, they say, well, what's your faith tradition? And I am a Christian. But as a chaplain, Reverend Marcia, I deal with everybody. If every chair in here, if every plank was a different faith, a different religion, I come because I deal with a human being. Yeah. We are humans on a journey that we are spiritual beings in a human body, but that spiritual being is really what we're dealing with. I love and I take away, I'm going to steal some of you guys' ideas, Reverend Marshall and First E. I love that you all have a warm, engaging presence, that you care for the community, that you care for each other. Happy birthday, Bill, to the two Susans that got up and spoke. Listen, we are about connectivity. I love the sign over here talking about unity. I just like the feel that we're to be of human beings on this journey concerned about other human beings. So let me talk about being a veteran. There are certain things that we want to talk about. Before I get into the talk, I want to know, I'm going to just talk a little bit about the military branches. Who served in the Coast Guard here? If you served in the Coast Guard, stand up for us. His father did. Your father? Stand up representing Daddy then. All right, Coast Guard. You can remain, okay, sit down and we'll get everybody. All right, so then who served in the Air Force? Anybody, their father, their mother, their brother, their sister? All right, Air Force is represented. All right. You can have a seat. All right, here we go. I already said Navy. But who served in the Army? They are the people that always outrank everybody. Who served in the Army? All right. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
My father-in-law, my brother,
Yeah.
all served in the Army.
All right. We want to take time to acknowledge that. You know, we as veterans, I'm going to do Navy and then I'll get into that. I am Navy. Anybody serve in the Navy? All right. Your father did. Okay. Thank you for your father's service. Veterans are a special kind because we talk about each other. We say the Air Force didn't do nothing. Everybody said. But you know how it is amongst yourselves. You joke and you have all these little things, but we are all one. And when you donned that uniform and you said that you came to protect and to serve enemies, foreign and domestic, that was probably one of the most important things that I've ever done outside having my children and my husband. That's probably one of the most important things. Being able to do the things that I do. So I'm a licensed attorney. And I thank God that God, after I got out of the military, I went into, I knew since I was 13, I need everybody to hear the Spirit within you. Spirit woke me up to the awareness that I'd be an attorney. I didn't understand at that time that that thing was to talk about things that help people in life when there are things like injustices and there are wrongs and people need to have people speak on their behalf. And so I did that for a whole lot of years, and I'm still an attorney. Then I have a special needs son. And my special needs son has autism, and he has serious mental illness. And when I was a young woman, I took him to get counseling, and the counseling just did not speak to the things. Back then, it was everybody got Ritalin, and he didn't need Ritalin. He needed real care, and they didn't know that it was autism, because now autism is, you know, everybody knows about autism now, but they didn't know about it then. And so I shifted, and I got a master's in marriage and family therapy. Sex therapy is one of my specializations. Faith and spirituality is another of the specializations. That's why I meet people where they are. I don't care about a lot of things that people talk about, because when you meet people where they are, you show up and you are present with them to walk alongside them. Then I got a doctorate, my second doctorate in pastoral community clinical counseling. And the reason I did that is because, as you mentioned, Dr. Marsha, and I love that you spoke out and you talked, Reverend Marsha, about how people are suffering that are veterans, and people have mind and body and spirit challenges. And I love that. I don't know, Susan, I think it was you that talked about your dad and how he did not talk about things until his 70s. And you talked about the great generation. Peter Jennings, I think, talked about them, and he did a great series on the great generation. I have over 6,000 books, and I read them, and my husband and my son are like, if you don't stop getting books. But I love learning for the sake of learning. And from that, Peter Jennings wrote a book on that, The Great Generation, and how many of the veterans from that era did not talk about their experiences. They held them in. Many of the veterans from Vietnam did not talk about their experiences, because when they came home, many of them were spat on, and many of them were shunned, and many of them were talked about because we don't have balance in our world. And until we begin to have balance in our world and see that we have to have people that are going to stand up on the front line, but it's for worthy causes, isn't it? It has to be worthy causes, because we cannot just do something because I don't like you and you don't like me. And we don't even know each other we don't know the people and the things that we say we know. What do we do? What do we do when you have people come back from all of the wars and they have things called phantom illnesses? You know, phantom illnesses, like Agent Orange was a phantom illness for a long time. You don't have the ability to know. When they go to Afghanistan and Iraq and they come back and they have these wounds that you can see, they are amputees and they are disfigured and they have COPD and they have PTSD and they have military sexual trauma that we say is MST. They have a whole alphabet of stuff that they have. They have depression and anxiety. And all of my gifts, I talk about them because I am not that person that is the arrogant person. I am Reverend Dr. Lawyer. I am all those things. And I stand by them because we have to say, what gifts did God give you? But I'm also that person that says, who's on the HUD committee? They don't have a degree at all. Who's on the committee that's going to call somebody? Dr. Marsha talked about the postcards are important. See, I listen. And I listen because if we don't begin to see the people that are around us, you talked about you're going to serve the community over right across the way. I believe it was Edgewood, is that right? They're going to need it because SNAP benefits are no longer available or will become questionable whether they'll be available. All of us, I'm a baby boomer, so all of us, for the most part, I see a few youngins in here, are baby boomers. What does that mean as we face life transitions? What does it mean as we are talking not only about the veterans, but the people who are the sons and daughters and nieces and nephews, the spouses, the children of veterans? How do we care for them who are the caregivers of those who are veterans? We have to be able to say, sometimes people seem mean or surly, as I used to say. That's an old term, you know. They have to be able to have someone help them along the way. If you remember that movie that Clint Eastwood was in, what was it with the car? Can anybody help me with that? Gran Torino. He seemed so surly, but then when he helped the little Asian guy next door, sometimes we have experiences that get us out of our shell. How do we help people? The way that I help people as a veteran, as a therapist, I'm a licensed therapist. I am a licensed and ordained minister. I am a dually board certified chaplain with specializations in mental health. How do I take all of that stuff and put it together? And I am able to say, here, Lord, I will serve the people that you send to me. Here, Lord, if I can't serve them, because we can't serve everybody, we got to be able to pass that off. And we got to be in community to be able to say, who are we connected to in community so that people can get the resources and they can get the supports that they need and they can get the help that they need. So let's talk about breaking it down. I got a bunch of stuff written down, but I can talk from the paper. But when I talk from my heart and I hear that there are needs that people need to hear, there are physical things. Let's start with the body. There are people that the veterans who have served, they have physical challenges, and those physical challenges need attention. So what can you do as a friend, a neighbor, a child, a parent? My son, my oldest son did 3 tours in Iraq. He's 100% service connected. He has a lot of the alphabet. He has the PTSD, he has the TBI. TBI stands for traumatic brain injury. He has a lot of the things, and I get those phone calls sometimes when veterans are sometimes emotionally dysregulated. And sometimes you'll get the anger, and sometimes you'll get the frustrations, and sometimes you'll get the irritations. I encourage the veterans, and I encourage you all to help your loved ones get the resources that they need for the physical ailments that they have. Get them over to the VA hospital. There are veteran centers that we have available. There are a lot of veteran organizations that help. There's caregiver support. I don't want to forget that, because sometimes you need help. I know as a mother helping my son, I needed the help to understand. Sometimes we got to get past the labels. You know that? The labels are stigmatizing sometimes. But if you get past the labels to say, hey, I need help, it is the me, myself, and I responsibility, congregation, that we all have to be able to say, I can't do this by myself. I need support that is supportive. I need support that is non-judgmental. I need support that says, can you help me to communicate, to get the physical help that I need for my medications, for my therapeutic things that I can go to physical therapy, or I can go to, we'll talk about mental health in just a moment, but veterans need that physical support. Sometimes they need prostheses. Sometimes they need certain devices. I wear hearing aids. I don't have, this is from being service connected. They're being serviced right now, so I have to have my husband interpret sometimes for me, or my son interpret, because I sometimes can't hear very well. But when I take away the stigma, they're saying, I can't hear that well. I'm going to still try to look cute. I'm going to still try to be down to earth. I'm still going to try to be that person that says to somebody else, I'm going to be that person that says to somebody else that I have to be able to show that I needed help. And if I need help, it's okay for you to get help, because people sometimes look at your titles and they're like, somebody told me this. I have a men's group that I work with every week, and I have about 40 men that come in on average. And those men pop in and they share what's just like you all did. Hey, can you share your joys and your sadnesses? We do that very same thing. And when they pop in and they share something, sometimes it's something that's devastating for them. It's the same for the women. And I do a couples group. It's the same for them, because people need to unburden it, Dr. Jean. They need to be able to have a safe space to talk. And can you be that safe space that when they ask for help, even if you don't know what to do, you can be able to say, hold on. As a professional, I'll tell you, sometimes people want to get me and they're like, you have this title and you have that title. Can you tell me about this? And they're not asking because they're curious. They're asking because they want to give you a zinger and try to be like, you don't know everything, but I'm the first one, Dr. Jean, to be like, look, I didn't do admiralty law. I don't know nothing about that. You're going to have to find somebody else. I am not a therapist for, some other area that I don't specialize in. My areas are crisis and trauma, suicide prevention, helping people with emotional dysregulation to balance themselves, because sometimes we hear and see the frustrations and we act out on our emotions because someone hasn't taught us. So weekly I go through, and you talked about it. You talk about safety. Every veteran I work with knows that safety first is the number one thing. Safety first means that I have to get outside of my limitations. Someone's gonna find out that I'm not perfect. Someone's gonna find out that I don't have it all together. Guess what, friends? None of us have it all together. That was the gift of COVID in my mind. Not that COVID was something the planet wanted. We didn't want that, and we don't want to see it again. But the gift of COVID gave us the opportunity to say, hey, this is on my nerves. Hey, I need help. Hey, who are you? Who am I? That's the ability for us to be transformative. In my faith tradition, it talks about be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I need to have my mind renewed sometimes where I say, husband, family, I can't do this all by myself. I need your help and support. And they might have to be the ones that go out. And so you might have to be the ones that go out to get other people tapped into services for veterans. You might have to be the one that has the ability to say, 211, United Way, some senior who may or may not be a veteran might be struggling. They might need food. I love what you guys do because I am always a firm believer that sometimes the very people that we ask for stuff are the people that need stuff, but they're too proud to say something. I encourage everybody, don't do more than what you are able to do, and it puts you in a position where you're going to lose you're not going to be able to pay your mortgage, you're not going to be able to pay your rent, you're not going to be able to live, you're not going to be able to eat. We have, in my faith tradition, it talks about doing all things in common, where you share your gifts and you share your resources. And that's a good thing because communities need, in times like this, there's a couple of places, and I say this to the congregation, if it's for you or somebody that you know, there's Aldi's and LIDL, Lidl, and it's a bunch of places that got $40 Thanksgiving packages where you get the turkey and all kinds of stuff. That stuff will help a lot of people to have a good quality Thanksgiving and eat a wholesome meal. And so I encourage you all for that. Back to my veterans, let's talk about the mind. What happens when someone that you know has seen death and the person that they sat next to is gone, and that person is deceased now and they have survivor's guilt? That's what probably many of the veterans that are from the great generation, from Vietnam and other eras, they didn't talk about those things because it was too painful psychologically for them. How do you help them to be able to get to the resources to say, sometimes we need therapy? And a lot of times people don't want to open up to say that they want or need therapy. But therapy is something that I think helps people. Let's talk about the spirit for a moment. How is your spirit able to be revived? Your spirit is able to be revived by being able to sometimes say, how many of you all have had complaints sometimes? And you're like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. I don't know how. And then it reminds me of that story where the person said, hey, I had holes in my shoes until I looked over and saw the person that had no feet. My spirit is deepened because I'm aware that the divine, holy, and sacred has said sometimes there's a place for us to be able to see that even in our worst situation, even in situations where things are not looking as if they're going to be able to have a resilient moment, how do I find inner strength spiritual strength to be able to go on. This has been on my heart for a while. People sometimes have this thought process that says, joy comes in the morning. And they start setting their clock. This is not a clock, it's a bracelet. But they start setting their clock and they start saying, okay, what happens 24 hours from now? And then they go, 23 hours and 59 seconds, right? And they're waiting. What happens when it's not 24 hours? What happens when relief doesn't come in 48 hours? What happens when it doesn't come in 72? What happens when it is a season? What happens when that chronic pain is the pain you experience all the time? It's not going to go away. How do we learn to live within having hope, even in difficult situations? This is why I encourage people to have something greater than themselves to believe on, because sometimes that's what will get you through. It's not about knowing that it's all going to be perfect, because again, none of us are perfect. But it is about being in a shared experience where we lift one another up. It is that unity that you talk about and you embrace here at First E. And so I challenge each one of you to be able to say, for those veterans, for yourselves, for ourselves, I'm going to give a few tips. Life is uncertain. What do we do when it's uncertain? We try to find those things that give us joy. As we were coming in, I'm loving the fall season. Fall is one of my favorite seasons of the year. I see people walking, riding bikes, they're walking dogs. There's a book that I recommend since I like books so much. It is Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom. And it talks about how this great professor is at the crucial stages of life. And how does he look outside his window and see a and is delighted by that? How do we look at people and we say we are living a shared experience that allows us to be able to have hope in hopelessness? That's one thing that I would encourage you to do. For your veterans in particular, and for you that are veterans here, we have services at the VA. If you are experiencing a physical health condition, go to your nearest VA and go to the nearest ER if it's an emergency. This is for everybody. 988 is the equivalent of the crisis 911 number. That's where anybody can get information. 988 is for everybody. For veterans in particular, 988 pound 1, it is for mental health emergencies. I used to work at the crisis line for the VA. And so on this hand right here, it's like, ain't nothing going on. I just, I would have veterans call and say, well, I'm eating cornflakes this morning. I had eggs yesterday, but I felt like cornflakes today. And what was happening is veterans like to have routines. Veterans need to have, they're missing sometimes the structure of the military. So they need to check in with somebody. So that might be what they do to call in. And in the middle, they might be like they got bubble guts. Something is not quite right. They don't know what's right emotionally, physically, relationally. They don't know what's right. And then on this side, hey, I'm thinking about hurting myself, or I'm thinking about hurting somebody else. 988 pound 1 covers that whole gamut. And I want you to use 988 for yourselves if you just need somebody to talk to and things are just not quite right with you in your mind. 988 #1 for the veteran. I want you to reach out and go to the veterans VA front door. The VA front door is really the side door. It's over by the emergency room, but it's a front door experience if a veteran is having any kind of psychological needs. So you got the emergency room that's right there for physical needs. And then you have right in the same area, you have the VA front door, which is that mental health component. And guess what? People say, I don't have a problem. It's not me that has, we all have mental health issues. My grandmother just died at 98. And it's a great thing to have a person for 98 years, but you feel sad. Grief and loss is one of those issues that we sometimes don't think takes all of us into a different arena in our spirit. And it's getting ready to be the holidays, so people sometimes get a little sad during the holidays. Sometimes they get a lot sad. They're thinking about being a kid. They're thinking about when everybody was there and stuff we used to do. So be kind to yourself and say grief and loss is one of those issues. Some of the other issues are, it might not be that you had PTSD from somewhere in the military. It might be that you had a trauma from somewhere else in your life as a civilian. And so take these tools and utilize the tools to help you to either help a veteran or help yourself, because we all need help. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you for having me here. And I want to, ask, are there any questions? Anybody, if I have time, Dr. Marsh, you let me know. I can sit down or I can entertain questions. You let me know.
We have a few minutes if anybody will have a question.
Anybody? Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay. Questions, comments? Thank you. All right. Well,
do you have any cards?
I don't have any cards, but I'll get some information over to you guys for you all to have. All right. All right. Well, thank you for having me, and I hope that I gave some insights on veterans. Oh, yeah, veterans always do a couple of things. They back into their parking spaces. They face the door in restaurants. If you understand these little things, it's because they are always vigilant about safety for themselves and safety for others. So if you see those things happening, know that's because it's one, and I still eat fast, and I haven't been in boot camp in 1,000 years. So blessings to everybody.
Thank you so much for your words, Dr. Coleman. I know when my brother came back from Vietnam the first time, he had been a fixed-wing pilot, so that the plane that he flew right at treetop level, and his co-pilot did the reconnaissance looking for the enemy going through the thing and being able to call that back. And when he got back, his wife was unpacking his suitcase and noticed that the lining of one of the suitcases wasn't even. And so she started feeling around, and she felt underneath there, and there were some medals and commendations that he had gotten while he was over there. And she said, why did you have these hidden in here? And he said, because I'm not proud of what I had to do to earn those. So he had the sense of duty, to do what he was supposed to do. But at the same time, as a human being, he had a conscience and an empathy So the conflict that he dealt with, with that is probably a minor thing compared to what so many veterans have to deal with, especially those that are in literal combat. So please keep anyone in your thoughts that you specifically know as a veteran, but in general, keep veterans in your thoughts. I know when I go to the airport, I often will, if I see someone in a uniform, I will stop them and say, thank you for your service. It's a small thing to do, but I hope that it makes a little part of their day feel better, to know that there's somebody who appreciates what they're doing, the sacrifices that they make. Because both those who are in the military as well as their families make sacrifices all the time. Yes?
Marcia, the thing that you talked about your brother just now, we call that moral injury. So out of a sense of duty and obligation, they were ordered to do certain things. But the moral injury comes with the conflict of their own values and their morals, that you have to do a certain thing because it's for the mission. And that's one of the conflicts that why many did not speak about it, and they still don't speak about it because they find it so horrendous sometimes to share things. And then we never think we think of our heroes as heroes, but sometimes they think of themselves as anything but that.
Charles Rangel said, honoring the sacrifices many have made for our country in the name of freedom and democracy is the very foundation of Veterans Day. Honoring the sacrifices. So, let's have a closing congregational song.
This is my favorite song. It has choreography, so if I can invite you all to stand up, if you're willing and able, and it goes, we let, and today I think it's going to be gratitude. We let gratitude wash over us. We let it be. We let gratitude wash over us. We let it be. And then we'll do other words too, but I'll holler them out. So,
Gratitude wash over us. We let it be. We let gratitude wash over us. We let it be. Courage, courage. We let courage wash over us. We let it be. We let courage wash over us. We let freedom. We let freedom. We let freedom
let it be.
Thank you for being here today. Thank you again, Dr. Coleman, for your words. I appreciate that. Next Sunday is going to be Sanjay Lay, the existentialist insights for the political activist. Sarah will be Drew will be our facilitator, and Bill will be our accompanist. So don't forget that we have the discussion group after the service today for anybody who would like to stay for the second Sunday discussion group. We'll do that up here in the front. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy the day. See you next Sunday. Thank you, Dr. Jean.